Ladies and gents, welcome back to some more Ghost in the Shell. Now, I want to actually address some concerns I have with the game that have been cropping up lately for me and a lot of other people, and some people have actually been experiencing this like for years now. Those have been playing this game for a long time. I've initially said in my first impressions video of this game how it felt very responsive and it felt like really good and everything. It still kind of does, but it feels fleeting at times. And I'm going to basically explain that. But first, let's talk about what you are witnessing, which is all gameplay that's going to be strictly sniper gameplay, because I decided to finally get into this after they kind of changed the sniper's damage values, because beforehand it took 2 shots, now you can put a target down in just 1 shot. And it kind of makes the game feel a lot more like Call of Duty-ish, because you're able to quick scope and kill people very quickly and rapidly, but at the same time there are movement penalties very similar to Counter-Strike Global Offensive. So you can't just run around and move while shooting accurately. You kind of have to stop for a second so your shot will be straight and then pull the trigger. Very similar to the way that, like I said, Counter-Strike handles it, where the crosshairs will actually become blurry instead when you're moving. Now, I still don't really know how I feel about one-shot snipers in the game. Like, after using them, I'm kind of having fun with it. But at the same time, I feel like it kind of breaks the flow of what was initially there beforehand. Where now when you're playing Terminal Conquest or other game modes and you get a bead on someone with a rifle or a submachine gun, and you get put down in close quarters instantly by a sniper or even at long range, it's just very disconcerting. It's like, it kind of disconnects you from that flow of the game and can be very off-putting, which is initially why I wasn't really a huge fan of it. And after using the sniper rifle extensively by putting on the CBC mod, which increases my damage within the optimal range, it just makes it all the more easy to just put people down, and it just feels almost cheap compared to using a regular rifle. But at the same time, you could say it does take more skill or it doesn't take more skill, so I don't know. It's very... I'm on the fence about that, basically. Like, I'm going to leave it up to the developers to decide how they want the sniper rifles to actually perform in this game, because either way, I'm still enjoying the game. But now, I want to actually address the issues I have with it. In my initial videos of this game, some of you guys actually commented saying how you had issues with netcode and hit registration and all that stuff, and how I've experienced it myself, but it wasn't enough to kind of like pull me away from the game because I didn't seem that bad. However, now, after a couple of patches have come out over the past month, it seems like these issues are becoming more and more prevalent. Like, it just seems to be a growing issue that's actually just constantly expanding with each patch. And it's something I'm not only noticing myself, other people are noticing this as well. And again, it's very off-putting knowing that the game is actually degrading in quality over time when it comes to server stability and players' actual responsiveness on the field when you're running around the game. And then suddenly, like, you're dying around corners all the time. It's very concerning. Like, that is something that's just a big no. It's starting to remind me a lot of Battlefield 4 in its initial release state, and that is not a good thing. If you guys remember what Battlefield 4 was like, dying around corners in the worst ways possible, this game feels exactly like that. It has a ton of issues with netcode, and it kind of, like, gives this insane peeker's advantage that is present in a game like Rainbow Six Siege, which again is something that's very, very annoying. And there's only so much you can do when it comes to online games that you can mitigate those kind of problems, because we all know that latency is essentially data traveling over your network lines at the speed of light, and light has a finite speed. It can only travel so fast. So essentially what you're basically experiencing is, hey, when I am pinging this server, it takes 27 milliseconds for the data to travel through the lines to that network. Now, of course, network congestion and all these other issues can crop up that can also increase that ping load and that ping time, all of it being related to bandwidth. But for the most part, it all comes down to how close you are to a server, because the closer you are, the less distance that light has to travel that data, so it results in a more responsive gaming experience. Now, again, you can't really do anything to compensate for this. If people live really far away, like if you try connecting to a server in another continent, obviously your pings are going to be really high. Why is that? Because it's a freaking far distance, right? You're sending data over lines across the ocean. That takes time. Even though it's traveling at the speed of light, it'll take a while to get there. Compared to a server that we could say is literally 3 feet from you, which would be pretty much instantaneous. Now, developers have all sorts of techniques to implement to kind of mitigate these consequences. The fact that you're challenging the speed of light, you're challenging the idea that players will kind of experience things differently based on their own pings. A player with a 10 millisecond ping will be at a significant advantage compared to somebody who has a ping of 30, because they're going to see things happening in real time more so than the person with 30 ping. So they implement these parameters that kind of try to equalize things based on the player's ping. And if you get it wrong, it kind of results in issues like dying around corners and being able to peek around a corner before the other player can even see you, and by the time they're dead, you've already moved past their body. That happens in many cases, and it's happening in this game right now. And of course, there's also the issue with people that have higher ping having a significant advantage because the game compensates too much. So you have to find this sweet balance, and it's very complex to do. But the problem is, many games have done it many, many times. It's not like it's inherently impossible. You look at a game like Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and they've pretty much nailed it down. So Ghost in the Shell has these problems, and they're only getting worse with each patch. They seriously need to go back and rectify these issues before they really take this game any further, because it is diminishing the gaming experience. It is making this game feel unpleasant to play to many people, where rage quitting is happening left and right, and it turns players off, and you do not want that. You want to have a solid experience so that people will keep coming back. If your game performs excellently, then people will play it regardless of the amount of content in it, so long as it plays very, very well. It's refined, it's polished, it's responsive. That's all the elements you want in a shooter. If you're missing those elements, but you have a ton of content, it doesn't matter, because people will not want to play your game if it's frustrating because of issues like that. Hopefully developers can fix this stuff soon. It's really crucial that they do, because I like this game, it's fun as hell, and I hate to see it going the way it's going now because of server instability issues. My name's been PepperBelly. Thank you guys for joining me today on this video. I'll see you guys on the next one. Enjoy the rest of this ridiculous killing spree gameplay. Take care.